The Crazies is a movie about a weaponized form of rabies accidentally unleashed on a small town in Iowa. The virus literally causes its host to go crazy, hence the name of the film. Those infected turn into deranged murderers who hunt down and kill their fellow townsfolk. As can be predicted, the government's response to this outbreak starts with containment before inevitably going nuclear. Do you think you'd be able to make it out alive? Do you think you'd have the skills to evade your psycho killer neighbors and the know-how to escape a military quarantine? You do? Well, you're wrong, and I'm here to tell you why. In this video from Strange Thoughts, I'm going to explain why you would end up as just another lunatic in the movie The Crazies. Those of you armed with a false sense of hope from how to beat videos will be brought back down to earth. I'm going to dismantle every idea you have for survival based on how the government would actually handle something like this. I'll reference official military procedures, training, and technology that would all lead to your demise. We start our analysis at the first baseball game of the spring season. You're snacking on some overpriced peanuts while cheering on the Ogden Tigers. Scotty's pitching, and the only thing faster than this curveball is his 98 Camaro. Your relaxing break from the combine is interrupted when Rory, the town drunk, wanders into center field with a shotgun. He's either mad about the last call or in the middle of a two-day bender.
Whoa, hey, Rory, we got a ball game going on here. We're playing ball, you come out with a gun? What the hell are you doing?
The sheriff, also in attendance at the game, tries to talk him into dropping his weapon to no avail. When Rory raises his gun to shoot, Sheriff Dutton, quicker on the draw, puts a round through his heart. In a matter of seconds, the cheerful spring opener has turned into a crime scene. Everyone sits there stunned. This is the first shooting the town has seen in 20 years. The police usher everyone out of the stadium and you go home to your family. You didn't know Rory well, but you still have a heavy heart. The next day proceeds as usual, up at dawn for a full day of planting crops. However, the day after that you hear news that Bill Farnham killed his wife and son by locking them inside their house and setting it on fire. Now at this point, something feels off. Two events like this happening a day apart in such a small town must have some type of connection. You spend all day thinking through possibilities and arrive at two theories. It's either due to Mercury being in retrograde or, and this one's a stretch, both Rory and Bill were affected by a behavior-modifying toxin released into the water supply from a downed military aircraft the government is trying to cover up. You have no proof of either being the case, but you decide to let the sheriff know in the off chance it helps prevent another murder. That evening, you try to place a call to Sheriff Dutton's house and notice the phones are down. You try to send him an email but find out the internet is down as well. Could this also be due to Mercury being in retrograde? As you are pacing back and forth figuring out what to do, soldiers in gas masks arrive at your door. They demand that you and your family come with them. For anyone who thinks the government doesn't have the right to do this, you're wrong. According to Section 266 of U.S. Code 264, Regulations to Control Communicable Diseases, in the event of a biologic pandemic, the military has the authority to detain anyone they believe may be infected. You can wave your pocket constitution in their face all you want, but you are getting on that bus.
You want to know what I think about the Fifth Amendment?
Regardless of authority, most of you trust the military and follow their orders. After all, they're here to help, right? As you board the bus filled with your neighbors, you see the sheriff and ask him if he knows what's going on. He shakes his head no and says he doesn't have any more information than you do. What a frickin' liar. At this point, he knows about the dead pilot, downed plane, and tainted water supply. You think he'd throw you a bone and fill you in on these relevant details. When your bus arrives at the quarantine camp, your stomach sinks as you see multiple signs confirming this isn't some minor incident. First, all your fellow townspeople are locked inside a fence guarded by soldiers with 50 caliber machine guns. Second, the soldiers are telling you there's no need for alarm, something almost exclusively said when there is need for alarm. Third, you see fellow townspeople being corralled into livestock trailers. You know what those livestock trailers do? They haul animals to the slaughterhouse. Talk about a foreboding sign of things to come. Once you get into camp, you see soldiers taking everyone's temperature. temperatures. Those with high temperatures are carried off to scientists in those puffy suits you see in movies about pandemics. These suits give you a pretty good sense of the situation's severity. They are biosafety level 4 positive pressure suits. Designed to be worn around the deadliest biological agents, their positive pressure ensures that even in the event of a tear, the wearer will remain safe. As a general rule, if you see someone wearing one of these suits and you're not in one yourself, you're fucked. As you approach the temperature check station, you start wondering about the probability of you being infected. You have no idea what the dangerous substance is or how it is transmitted. The only thing you do know is that a high temperature is associated with infection. While the film doesn't mention the infection rate, one of the websites set up as marketing collateral reveals it can be up to 11%. I'm going to assume the worst because that's what I do and set this as the average infection rate. We learn from the intelligence officer later in the movie that once you are infected, the likelihood of death is 100%. It's just a matter of time.
What is the incubation period?
48 hours. After that, you're either dead or you don't have it.
Like most viruses, the strengths of the host's immune system plays a part in whether exposure leads to infection. If you haven't been taking your vitamin C, you're not going to survive the crazies. As you walk up to the temperature checkpoint, you try explaining to the soldiers that your loved one has a cold and that is why her temperature is high. The soldiers assure you she will be okay and separate you anyway. You are funneled into a livestock trailer while she is ushered to the scientists in puffy jackets. You are scared, yes, but there's nothing you can do. Your first ever ride in a livestock trailer comes to an end at a truck stop outside of town. Much to your relief, it appears you don't have the disease. The military instructs everyone to wait in line for buses to Cedar Rapids. They inform you that your loved ones back at the quarantine camp are being treated and will join you soon. At no point in this process do you question the government's care of your loved ones or anticipate them gunning you down out of an abundance of caution. This is the second reason why we, yes I said we, wouldn't survive. Like you, I would have trusted the government and ended up as human charcoal in the back of a livestock trailer. Those of you smart enough to realize something is up decide to follow the sheriff back to the quarantine zone. Your plan is to find your loved ones and then sneak back out. Unfortunately, when you get back to camp, you find your loved one didn't make it. Some crazed killer drove a pitchfork through her chest. You do, however, link up with the sheriff and his wife who fills you in on how the disease turns people into crazy killers. So what do? You're surrounded by hysterical, crazy murderers and your town is encircled by a military quarantine. You can either fight your way past roadblocks, find somewhere to hide, or try to sneak through a gap in the quarantine's perimeter. You quickly dismiss the idea of fighting. Even if you could get a group of armed townspeople together, there's little chance you're going to make it past a barricade. You are simply outgunned. Hiding is another option, but poses a couple significant problems. First, if you've seen any movies about epidemic outbreaks, you know this is going to end with a nuke being dropped on the town. Your DIY fallout shelter is not going to survive a targeted thermonuclear attack. Second, there's no place to hide where they can't find you. Even with the most carefully chosen hiding spot, the military can use your phone's GPS or triangulate your position based on cell towers pinging your phone. But you anticipated that and turned off your phone, right? Sorry, smarty pants, they'll still find you. The government has radar-like handheld sensors like this one that can detect humans through walls based on how radio waves bounce off human bodies. And this is just the technology we know about. It's possible they actually have more powerful sensors that can be mounted to drones that scan wide swaths of urban and rural environments for humans. Like Liam Neeson in Taken, they will find you and they will kill you. This leaves you with one final option: escape town with the sheriff. His intricate plan involves sneaking past a gap in the quarantine and getting to the truck stop where you can catch a bus out of this nightmare. You start searching for a vehicle and notice they've all been booted. The sheriff mentions he has an old police cruiser on blocks in his garage. If you can get to the house and put in some wrench time, you should have something that can get you close enough to the gap in the perimeter before you sneak by on foot. On your way to the sheriff's house, you make a stop at a neighbor's farm. They appear to be sane and you don't want to leave them behind. While talking to your neighbor, the sheriff sees approaching soldiers. Your small group decides to hide from them in the barn. When a lone soldier makes his way into the barn, you subdue him and convince him not to tell the other soldiers you are there. Except, this is not how it would have gone down. A couple reasons. First, you're not up against some National Guard weakened warrior who doesn't remember the basic principles of clearing a room. Earlier in the film, it was revealed this entire operation is being conducted under authorization of an executive order. This means the highest levels of government from the president down are involved. Given the seriousness of the situation, they would order the use of highly trained special forces to clear the town. I'm not saying you'd be up against Navy SEALs, but you would be trying to set a trap for a soldier who trains every day for situations like this. It is way more likely the soldier you subdued would have been followed by 3 or 4 other soldiers who would have taken you out. If a soldier did go commando and try to clear the room himself, he definitely would have snitched on you after you released him. Remember, while he may not know the true nature of the virus, he has probably been told it's a highly contagious pathogen that if not quarantined will spread through the population, resulting in the death of millions. He'd likely give you a thumbs up and then wave his flamethrower bro over to light the barn on fire. Assuming you can set a trap for special forces is another reason why you wouldn't survive the Crazies. If you disagree and think your Call of Duty knowledge would allow you to evade capture by soldiers, it's okay. I've got plenty of other reasons why you wouldn't make it. You finally arrive at the sheriff's house where Russ bolts on the tires, changes the oil, and puts in a new air freshener. It's an old car, but it drives well and should look good as soon as you can get it to a car wash.
Hey guys, come on, we gotta go.
On your way out of town, you see an approaching attack helicopter. For those of you who don't know, this specific helicopter is an Anaconda 3000 gunship armed with an X-49B Demon Breath chain gun that goes Series Zeta rocket pods that go and Devil Fart missiles that go If you see one of these bad boys approaching, you might as well blow your head off because Uncle Sam is going to make sure your funeral is closed casket. The helicopter's long-range sensors would allow it to target you long before you have a chance to make it to the car wash. In reality, you never would have seen the helicopter approaching. Your bickering about who may be sick would have been cut short as a Hellfire missile blew you into another dimension. But we'll assume he wasn't clear to engage and let you live for a little while longer. You pop in the car wash and select the Works package, complete with a 3-step wheel cleaning, rainbow coat, and underbody flush. This cruiser needs some serious love. What you don't realize is that there are a bunch of crazies hiding in the car wash ready to turn this into a moving haunted house. As you're getting your pre-soak, you notice their trap. Yes, you could get out of the cruiser and escape the car wash, but you don't want one of the crazies driving off with your only means of transportation. A battle ensues with crazies punching through windows and hastily assembling a noose. Just as you think you've made it through safely, a crazy slips the noose around Becca's neck and, well, yeah, you saw what happened. At this point, I know what you're thinking. How is this not a ride at Universal Studios? It's like the Tower of Terror but set in a car wash. People would wait in line hours to experience the adrenaline spiking scares of a car wash manned by lunatic killers. But I digress. The helicopter pilot, who has been patiently waiting to see how well the car wash did on your old cruiser, finally gets the chance to use his Demon Fart missiles and blows away your only means of making it out of the quarantine. You are now forced to walk 20 miles to the truck stop. On your long walk, you start wondering if anyone in your group is infected. Even if you did have a thermometer with you, it isn't exactly the most effective means of testing for infection. It has led to both false positives and false negatives. When Judy tested Bill earlier in the film, all his vitals were positive and he went home to burn his family alive. Statistically, it would just be a matter of time before someone in your group like Russell started showing symptoms of the Crazies. Your relation to this person would keep you from doing what you should, which is kill them before they kill you. This unwillingness to take the necessary course of action would lead to a scenario like the one here where Russ pulls his gun on the sheriff.
1, 2, 3.
Russ stops just short of killing him, counting all the times he saved his life as well as the one time he saved his nuts. it's way more likely he would have decided to kill the sheriff, you, or his wife. You failing to take action on an infected member of your party is another reason why you wouldn't survive, but we'll assume your relationship was either too strong or the symptoms too mild for this more likely outcome. You continue on to the quarantine's perimeter where you come across a strong military presence. The film makes it seem like you can easily skirt to the side of a military roadblock with a diversion. This just isn't the case. They know most civilians will attempt to sneak past any military presence versus approach it head on. The entirety of the perimeter will be monitored. There will be no gaps. Now, I'll admit that's a lot of space to monitor. Setting a perimeter at a 20-mile radius around the center of town would mean they'd have close to 1,200 miles to monitor. When researching how the military would secure such a large perimeter, I came across several technologies they could use. The easiest to deploy would be a series of infrasonic sensors airdropped around the perimeter. Each of these golf tee-sized sensors would be able to discern human movement 3 miles in each direction. This means a large number of these, paired with other seismic, infrared, and radar-like sensors, could provide a layered approach to ground surveillance. Predator drones could supplement the ground surveillance for the most likely escape routes. Containing this virus would have been the highest priority, and the government would have had a week to build up the perimeter utilizing all available resources. Thinking you can escape a military quarantine is reason number 6 why you wouldn't survive. If you tried to escape, your movement would have likely been picked up by one of the sensors, and an Anaconda 3000 attack helicopter would arrive to spray your body with bullets. But I'll give you one final pass to set you up for the coolest death of all. It's time to go nuclear. When you finally get to the truck stop, everyone is gone. The government is pulled out, there are no civilians around. As you and the sheriff look around, you come across a military radio. Listening in, you learn a countdown has been initiated for a nuclear bomb run. Will you be able to make it a safe distance before the bomb is dropped? Let's take a look at the film's timeline to answer this question. You and the sheriff first learn of the airstrike 1 hour, 22 minutes, and 27 seconds into the film. About 7 minutes elapse as you fight off the truck stop Crazies. You then haul ass out of the garage, driving for about 3 minutes before the bomb goes off. Assuming you are moving at an average of 80 miles an hour over the 3-minute period, you would be 4 miles away from the truck stop, the target of one of 2 nuclear bombs as revealed in the post-credit sequence.
We also have reports of a second explosion at a nearby truck fueling station.
Your ability to survive now depends on what type of nuke they use. If they drop anything with a yield under a megaton, you're going to be okay. This would be the most likely scenario, which would lead to you surviving, and I can't have that. Instead, let's assume the general in charge has been drinking Ogden spring water and is feeling a little crazy. He authorizes the airburst of a B-83 nuclear missile, the largest bomb currently in the US arsenal with a yield of 1.2 megatons. While you would still make it outside the fireball and heavy blast zone, you'd be well within the moderate blast zone where injuries are universal and deaths are widespread. If you did survive, you'd be partially blind, burned, and poisoned by radiation. This plus your dehydration and lack of sleep would give you less than desirable odds of making it to Cedar Rapids. And if you did make it, you'd be shot by soldiers at the new expanded perimeter. This brings our analysis of why you wouldn't survive to an end. If you still think you made it, you were either Tim Kennedy or some guy on week 2 of his NoFap challenge. Either way, I don't doubt your resolve. I just doubt you'd survive. I hope you enjoyed my glass half empty analysis of why you wouldn't survive the Crazies. If you'd like me to expand on your inability to survive other horror movie scenarios, consider subscribing. I plan on making a video like this every week or 2. Thanks for watching, and remember to live life to the fullest. If something like this happens, you're not gonna make it.